Welcome to Tita Talks. My name is Sonia Tita Puopolo, and I'm your host. It is a great privilege and pleasure to introduce you to SHAREEF Malnik. SHAREEF is a successful American entrepreneur, restaurateur, and philanthropist based in Miami, Florida. He is chairman at Nextwave Funding and president and CEO of Forge Legacy Investments. His passion for philanthropy has helped charities like Make-A-Wish Foundation, among others, raise millions of dollars to help humanity. Given COVID-19, there are many people suffering and in need of self-motivation and knowledge on how to live a healthier, happier, and longer life. And today, we're talking about the healing power of self-motivation, a self-care tool for you. Welcome to Tita Talks, SHAREEF.
Hi, Tita. It's great to be here.
We're so delighted to have you here. What have you been doing to care for yourself at home in Miami during COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, okay, so this pandemic, which I would not wish on myself or anybody else, is one of many difficulties, calamities, and obstacles that we have in our lives that we have to deal with. So I really look at it that way. Are there ways to plan for, and prepare yourself for certain calamities? There are, but nevertheless, we still have to deal with them. And some of them are surprises. Some of them aren't. Some of us are better prepared. Some aren't. But the bottom line is, what are you going to do with it? And what I didn't want to happen is, and I already know how the calamity of a pandemic can hurt us, but how can I also use this time to improve my life, right? So what I didn't want to happen was, at the end of whatever road this is till there's a vaccine, am I better off, worse off, or at least did I take every full advantage of every minute that I possibly could in order to be the best person I can and have the best possibility for an improvement in my life and for those around me and my business. So I said, when this started, it was so critical that I didn't have regrets at the end of this, right?
Wow.
So I created these different buckets. And the first bucket is, I need to take care of myself. So and I need to measure all this too, because at the end of the day, I want to know, how am I better? So then the subcategories of myself are my health. Is my health better? Is my cholesterol better? Is my cardio better? Are my triglycerides better? How am I doing? How's my health, right? How is my body? Right? Is my body stronger? Is my cardio better? Am I quicker? Am I faster? Is my endurance better? My intellect? What have I learned? Am I smarter? Am I studying? Am I reading? How many books have I read? Right? My spirituality. What have I learned about whatever it is I believe in, and what else, have I learned that makes me even believe more things or more in what I believe in? What have I done and what have I practiced? How much better off am I, spiritually? So that was really, really important to me. And as I said, I measure all those things. I try to quantify and measure things so that I know how I'm doing, because our internal biases just tell us we're always doing better at everything, and you could be doing worse, right? So how many people are going like this and they're like, I'm doing great, I'm like, no, actually you're not.
Exactly.
Relationships, right? During this pandemic season or this interval, I want to be a better husband, I want to be a better father, a better son, a better brother, a better friend, right? Critical relationships in our lives that we don't always have time to think about and take advantage of improving. And so that was really critical to me. Business. Okay, so I already know what the limitations to my businesses are because of the coronavirus pandemic, right? But what are the opportunities? So it's forcing me to become innovative, forces me to become flexible, to pivot, to throw out old paradigms of how I've been thinking in order to come up with new ways of thinking that circumvent this or kind of restructure. And so that's happened on so many different levels, the restructuring, especially remote working and all of that. So business, and also looking at new deals. And another thing is, I think it's really important, is that, you know, you might say, or I might say, during this pandemic, you know, or pray for more business opportunities. But it's also recognizing the fact that there's an opportunity in front of you. How many times have things come across your life during this pandemic that you didn't realize were actually an opportunity? So you're asking for opportunities, but you're unwilling to open your mind to think that they're possible. And to think that they're possible means that you have to remain positive, right? So if you say I want to do all those things and you're negative, then an opportunity comes in front of you, which is what you asked for, but you don't think it can possibly work, so you don't even explore it. Isn't it incumbent upon you that when you are given something that you asked for, that you at least give it the respect and time to take a good look and analyze it to see if maybe it is good for you? How can I help those in need during this time? So it's one thing to work on myself. That's wonderful and important. You know, they say like in the airplane, you know, if you're sitting with a child and the oxygen mask comes on, you got to put it on yourself first, because I'm no good to anybody unless this person right here is at 100%, full throttle, 100%, right? So, but then let's look at those in need, right? So, you know, I mean, feeding the first responders is something that we did, and you know, I thought that was really important. Continuing with Make-A-Wish has been really important to me. You know, any other charities, and how about just people? You know, so you know, I'm thinking to myself, there's people I want to help.
So how has COVID-19 affected your work and creative process? It sounds like it's really sort of, you've been very busy, you've been very creative.
Yeah, so I've been thinking outside the box. So, you know, first of all, you know, we're all remote in my finance company, and so a lot of things that I never thought would consider, I'm looking at. And some of them actually were good ideas. I wish I was smart enough to have looked at them before. So yeah, the thing is, as I mentioned, as innovative as possible. And I'm listening to, you know, to people's ideas. I'm just throwing things out there. So, you know, we had a management meeting this morning. It's like I put it out to the group. What do you think about this? Ideas are coming in. Let's value every idea, every nugget of information. We're innovating, so and I come into my sanctuary, which is my office, my home office, which I work really well out of, and the energy is so powerful in here. You know, it's also my place of spiritual learning and prayer too. So there's so many good vibes in here that just, you know, I innovate from here, and it's been wonderful.
And this brings me to my next question, actually. How can one think about self-motivation now? Because you clearly are very self-motivated.
Well, first of all, I feel very blessed that I am, you know, because if you're not, there's so I guess if I could, I'll talk about it, but I think if I had to put it in one word, is hope. If you have hope, you're motivated. If you have no hope, there's nothing in the world that could ever motivate you, right?
Yeah.
So I know one of the things that we do at Make-A-Wish is what do these wishes give our children? They give them hope, and with hope, they can survive and live and conquer and thrive. It's the same thing as use that as a metaphor for our healthy lives. Okay, that we need hope. So that's my answer. And I think also you have to have the attitude of you never give up, ever. You know, I'm one of the sports that I used to do, which I retired now that I'm married, is a tech underwater diver. Okay, so I do deep diving and cave diving in my past, and they're very inherently dangerous sport, right? So especially at depths like 500 feet, you know, like it's very high incidence of fatalities, and it's very difficult. So it's a survivalist mentality, right? You're a survivor, and that I think crosses over into everything you do in life as a survivor. All survivors think the same way. And so my dive master, who was this very Zen character from another planet, you know, he told me a story that there was a guy that, so in cave diving, there's a labyrinth of caves, and they're dark and tight, and you run lines because you can get lost very easily. And this guy lost his dive group, and basically lost the line that he had been rolling, so that he could find his way back.
Right.
And so his air and gas levels were getting low. So he basically stopped and pulled out a slate and wrote a note to a goodbye note to his wife.
Wow.
So, basically saying, I'm lost, I'm gonna die, and so I want to, and so he sat there, wrote it, and died, and they found him there with his slate. And my dive master said, why would you give up? You weren't dead. Don't use up the time to write the note. Find your way out. Okay. So the idea of that is the ultimate of never give up, right? So there's some things that some people think they're never giving up, but when it gets really, really hard, and when you're really, really tested, not giving up is not that easy. Okay. But not giving up is your only chance to succeed, because if you do, it's a foregone conclusion, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think the sense of urgency, right? Which is kind of like not giving up, because if you're not urgent, if you're complacent, you're giving up, right?
Yeah.
You haven't actually said I quit. You're kind of dragging your feet, but your actions really are actually an example of quitting, right? So never give up.
Absolutely. Sharif, our philosophy is that true self-care relies on utilizing the 4 pillars of a healthy lifestyle. That's exercise, nutrition, rest, healing, and mindfulness meditation. And this is our formula for health, happiness, and longevity. When these 4 pillars are in alignment, we achieve harmony and equilibrium. What is your daily wellness routine, and what self-care tools do you use on a daily basis?
Okay, so this is great because we've been talking about this: exercise, nutrition, rest, and healing. Well, I didn't talk about nutrition. I do watch what I eat very, very much so.
Yes.
I'm actually sort of keto minded, and mindfulness meditation. Okay, so what is my daily wellness routine? So utilizing that terminology. So my routine is, first I train my body every single day. So I am physically active 7 days a week. 6 days of hard training, 1 day of like a long walk, but I'm still moving. But 6 days of training, some days twice a day, and I think recovery is really an important thing, because that's part of the rest, healing, sleep, nutrition. Could be massage, could be a cold plunge, ice.
Yes.
Meditation is healing, right? Rebooting everything, right? So there are supplements, IV supplements too. So I utilize all those things for my recovery, so it enables me to train hard. So I do intermittent fasting. I think it's really important for me to be lean, for health reasons, not aesthetic reasons. And of course, my body will perform better when it's lighter. So nutrition is really important, also in controlling my blood tests, results, and making sure that everything is in balance. And I check on all those things. Spirituality. Every morning I spend about a half an hour in prayer here in my home office, and I also pray at night before I go to sleep every single day. So those are really, really important times for me, because maybe that's that maybe is the transmission that connects all the things else that I'm trying to do in my life, right? So a car without a transmission is not going to drive, no matter how big the engine is, and no matter how good the brakes are, right? You need you need that transmission to put it all together. I think that's actually the key to my life. And in terms of happiness and longevity, you know, and there's definitely a correlation there, I believe. So trying to be positive, you know, like, you know, when you're in business and you know, and with legal background that I have, and, you know, you have to look at what's wrong with things. Otherwise you're going to be doing a lot of wrong things. But at the same time, in life, having a positive attitude about it. So just because something is wrong or doesn't go right doesn't mean that it wasn't supposed to happen. It's okay. You know, we don't have to be unhappy because certain things happen. All the same things can happen, and you just shift and pivot in yourself, and all of a sudden now those things don't bother you anymore, right? You're fine. So I'm constantly talking to myself about those things. I don't have it all, you know, it's not a perfect, it'll never be perfect, but I'm constantly trying to work on that. So I don't know, did I miss any of the pillars?
No, I think you got all of them. The exercise, nutrition, rest, healing, and the mindfulness meditation. Absolutely. And Sharif, you're such an inspiration to us. Who and what inspires you?
Oh, that's really interesting. So, um, you know, I on different levels, I have different people that inspire me.
Okay.
One is my dad. Uh,
Uh,
you know, he's so wise. You know,
yeah,
he's not only the smartest person I've ever met, he's really the
that's
wisest person I've ever met. And so he inspires me daily. And you know, I just have to think, how would he think about this? So I get his way. And we also have business together, and which is an honor for me. So I get to see how he thinks business wise. So you know, I have this amazing mentor that I speak to every day, and so he inspires me. My wife inspires me. And she's a pistol. She's filled with vinegar and, like, you know, and she's very, very smart. Um, and and she's productive. You know, when somebody from the age of 15 can support themselves for their
Mm,
entire lives and their children, you have to say that person has something pretty special, right?
yes.
That's a really hard thing to do. She moved out of her house at 15 and never went home again. You know,
Wow.
was
Yes.
successful for all those years. So, and she really inspires me. You know, it's really amazing. And then I'm looking at our kids, and I'm starting to see aspects of their personality that really
Yes.
inspire me. You know, where, you know, our daughter is just a 16-year-old. She's kind, she's positive, she's respectful, she studies hard, she's just a great person. And I'm thinking, well, why am I complaining? You know,
Yeah.
let me take a little inspiration from our daughter, you know, or our son, or my other son, or my grandson, and be more like them, you know. Um,
Wow.
and I think finally the people that I take inspiration for, which is one of the main reasons that I joined Make-A-Wish, is when I saw a bunch of people that were so altruistic, they cared so much about other people. You know, this started with me many, many years ago. I said, why can't I be more like they are? So
Mm,
let me do what they do, and
mm.
maybe I can become that much better of a person and aspire to be more like they are. So I think if you surround yourself with wise, smart, motivated, successful, and good people, hopefully they bring you up to their level. So that's been the story of my adult life.
And you have said to be a great leader, you must look inside and change yourself. This is similar to what meditation teaches us. What did you learn about yourself, Sharif, in your wellness journey and your journey that you can share with our global audience?
Well, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. So it's an easier comment to make than it is to explain. So let me just think about that. Being a great leader really means taking selfish and ego out of your leadership. Okay. And ego and selfishness. Okay. Um, it creeps in when you least expect it, and sometimes it's there and you don't even know it's there. And when it's
Mm.
there, you are not being the most effective leader that you can possibly be, right? So, and leadership, you have to be strong, but you have to be compassionate, empathetic, and kind. So there was I read a really interesting book called Give and Take by Adam
Mm.
Grant, the youngest tenured professor at the Wharton School of Business. And he separates people into givers, two kinds of givers,
Yep.
like otherwise givers and selfless givers,
Right.
matchers and takers. So the book starts out talking about, and it uses, he's a professor, so this is not just a feel good book. It's backed
Right.
up by data and real
Right.
life narratives. And so it starts off by talking about givers who just give like selflessly, but those givers actually don't really do well in life because they're doormats. So we're not talking about that kind of giving. We're talking about
Okay.
another kind of giving. But this other
Right.
kind of giving is giving to the right kind of people who actually want your help
Right.
without the expectation of receiving something. Okay. So I'm not even talking now about a spiritual level. I'm talking about why giving makes sense. Okay. If you're talking to like a business class, you can say, why does giving make sense? I'm not saying it's because you're going to go to heaven. How about you just do better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So those givers do really well. Matchers, okay, and they do really well because they become great leaders and great leaders of organizations. Okay, matchers and people in general, because it could be business organizations, charitable organizations, or you could be a leader of your family. Okay, matchers are what most people are, and we know them all the time, Tita, because
Yes.
I say to you, hey, listen, I'd really like to, could you do this for me, right? Or I could do this for you because I'm expecting you to do something for me, which is got the same in-kind value, and we're matching. Almost no one does favors, unless it's really a favor when you're receiving the reciprocal side of, mirrored side of that, later, right? And most people are matching. It happens all the time. I see that all the time, right? And then there are takers, and the takers have this meteor-like, you know, acceleration to
Right.
stardom, to success, but the majority of takers, they step on people but they're pulling with them in their wake, they're pulling people who are really rooting for them to lose, right? There are many, successful companies and organizations led by takers who everybody hates and they really wish they would fail, right? And so as the time goes on, those people look for opportunities to take them down too, and that sort of that energetic sort of hatred, that group in mass energy is not a
Right.
good thing, to try to succeed with. And those people often end in bankruptcy, suicide, drug and alcohol addiction, divorce, nasty, really weird manifestations of behavior, and they end up getting arrested for something really weird, And
Yes.
so giving actually to the right kind of people without the
Mm.
expectation of receiving,
Yeah.
and which is, by the way, I have not mastered. Okay, working on it. But I think that might be maybe one of the major elements to great leadership. And so that's something that I aspire to.
Well, that's amazing. Now, Sharif, is there anything else that you want to make sure that we share with the audience that you want to make sure folks know at home?
I would just say, you know, um, let's all try to be the best people that we can be during these trying times to ourselves and to those around us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharif, for joining us on Tita Talks. It has been
Loved
absolutely
it.
amazing. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your
Thank
self-motivation, your wellness. Thank
Well, you
you.
brought it all out of me, so I appreciate it. You get after it.
We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.